morning, everybody. Good morning, because it was, I started very, very early from Ahmedabad this morning. And so thank you, Praveen Prashant ji. I'd like to start with respected Dr. Pillai, Mr. Pradeep Dave, Mr. R.J. Agarwal, dignitaries on the dais, my industry colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Today's subject, like Mr. Prashant Joshi has already said, sustainable agriculture to boost agriculture production. I feel it's a very, very difficult task because today, all of you know, we all talk every day, we read in newspapers, TV, regarding climate change and global warming, which definitely poses a very significant threat to civilization, to the planet, and even to agriculture. All of you may feel that I am from an agriculture input line, but I would like to put certain facts that I feel, and I am sure you will agree with it. Today, the problems for global warming and climate change, because we are talking on sustainability, are many. Global electricity production alone, along with a lot of energy and heat, contributes 14 billion tons of CO2 generation, emissions, I would call it. Similarly, agriculture generates something close to 2.23 billion tons of nitrous oxide emissions. The global warming potential of nitrous oxide is 300 times that of carbon or CO2 emission. So if you really look at 2.23 billion, we are talking some hundreds of billions of tons of CO2. This is, in my view, the biggest culprit in today's global warming. Since we are talking on sustainable, I am giving all these numbers, what I could get and what I know. But where does this nitrous oxide or N2O emissions come from? Majority it comes from all the nitrogenous fertilizers. I know living without a nitrogenous fertilizer, one cannot imagine the world to sustain. But if this is true, maybe we need to find a replacement for these nitrogenous fertilizers. A lot of research will have to be done, but the nitrogenous fertilizer, especially in India, we have become the second largest consumer of urea in the world. Reason all of you know are many though, but one of the reasons is the very high subsidy. A farmer gets at his door delivered a bag of urea for 270 rupees per bag. That's not even 5.5 rupees a kilo. I can tell you, you cannot buy a kilo of salt in any shop for less than 10 rupees maybe. But this is due to the very high subsidy which all of you are aware, and the real production cost or the import cost is almost around 1500 per bag, which is subsidized at 270 rupees a bag. I'm sure you all are aware that many experts and even government understands, and there are many articles that you must have read. Recently I heard Honorable Minister Mr. Mansukh Mandavia saying that we must reduce sizably the use of, my friend Dr. Puri was there at that meeting recently at Fertilizer Association meeting. And that's what he said. There are many printed articles that I have come across where many people are saying, I understand it's a political issue that farmers, you cannot just increase the price to reduce consumption, and it really requires to be increased, but that's not the point we are talking today. Our main subject is today, how do we have a sustainable agriculture and still we boost production to keep up with the growing population that is likely to happen by 2030 and 2040. Some of the solutions the government is working, or many people are working, I shouldn't say government, the industry also and many research institutes are, of course, different types of biofertilizers, other type of nutrients in order to correct the imbalances in the soil. Another I would say side effect or a disadvantage of a nitrogenous fertilizer is the soil health. And if the health of the soil is not good, how are you going to have more production, good quality and quantity production for the growing population? So I know I'm not giving any solution, but in brief I am saying sustainable agriculture for boosting production is the subject for today. And I have briefed it. Industry may not like my saying that nitrogenous fertilizers are causing all this type of nitrous oxide emissions, which is creating the global warming and climate change, also the soil health. But this is the reality, and we all, as a country, we must work on it to solve this problem. At one time, we felt that we cannot live without oil, that is petrol and diesel. Today, we are going to have electric cars already there. We may have hydrogen cars. Power was always generated with oil, thermal plants, and with replacing with solar. So it will be possible. It's a matter of time, and we have to still work on it. This may not be there is always a better solution than what we have today. So with that, the sustainable agriculture part, I am ending here, but Mr. Joshi had said that I should be speaking on environmentally friendly agrochemicals also. I don't know, I shouldn't be talking about my own story, but back in 80s, when we used to make vegetable powders, there were only, sir, do I have time still? Yes. Yeah. In the 80s, when we used to make vegetable powders, there were no jet mills, and in those days only what we used to say hammer mill or a three-roller mill was being used to grind, make vegetable powders, where the particle size would not even go down below 25 microns. When you use that vegetable powder, the maximum suspensibility was 50%. And that was keeping us a little bit happy that 50% suspensibility is there. But nobody saw how a farmer was using it in farm. He was mixing it in, first of all, he was not doing the right system because everybody wants their jugaad, shortcuts. So just put a vegetable powder pouch into the 200-liter drum with some type of a stick and stir it. He may even take a little tea break or coffee break or whatever. By that time, the product would settle down. And sometime he will be spraying maybe 4 hours, 6 hours after he has put the product into the drum. And what he was spraying was, top part was only water almost. The middle part was okay, little good. And the bottom was highly concentrated, giving phytotoxicity. That gave us an idea to prepare product with 2 to 4 micron particles which would suspend on its own. The suspension would remain stable for 24 hours. That was the requirement because there were cases that he would use half drum today. Now the day is over, 5 o'clock he goes home and leaves the drum as it is, and next day he sprays that drum, and again you can imagine what he was spraying. So the idea came, my friends like Mr. Pradeep Dave, who helped us to be in touch with, at that time, with IPFT and so on, and our own R&D team was working, and we registered the first 9(3) spray-dried WDG, which WDG word was not there in CIBRC. The then PPA, Dr. Rajak, he said, what is WDG? And I said, this is a new technology that we have developed, that you put a product in water, it will totally disperse, nothing would settle. Of course, the cost of production will be definitely a little higher, but you can really reduce doses by these technologies. Basically, again, coming to environment and making it environmentally friendly, less chemical into the soil. There are other technologies that the product should remain on the leaf for a longer time, should not wash off with the rain. Even the shape of particles design was such that it was more stable on the leaf. I can go on for hours, but just to give a brief, because the subject has been given, and I will briefly say that. Similarly, most of the products, I would say about 15 years ago, were all emulsifiable concentrates, EC, what we call it. A 5%, 10% active and 90% solvents. Solvent is nothing but petrochemicals, hydrocarbon. And every farmer sprays at least, maybe more, but at least 4 or 5 sprays a year. And all these hydrocarbons are going into your soil year after year for last 30, 40, 50 years. So we have a solution for that, not to use any solvent and make it in water. This technology is described as microencapsulation. The initial disadvantage with microencapsulation was that the effect was like in the emulsifiable concentrate, the effect was immediate. It was a knockdown effect, while in a microencapsulation, it was taking time, 2 days, 3 days, sometimes 4 days and 5 days. So we have even overcome this technology, this issue also, that some part of the product will be effective immediately, some product will be effective after 4 or 5 days, and some product will be available after maybe 7 or 8 days, reducing your number of sprays. So there are many cases like this. I think I have already overcrossed my time, but industry should work together to develop newer technologies. We are, as a company, as an SML, we are working on technologies which are not there anywhere in the world. And even a product like product like deltamethrin or lambda cyhalothrin, it itches a lot. The product is of course of a multinational, but we have made a formulation that you can take it on your hand, rub it, and nothing will happen. So those are some of innovations that industry should do. We have already started this type of products exports. Even in India, this product is under registration. And we are hopeful to get registration soon, because if you go in the agriculture areas and you tell, normally the farmer doesn't spray, it is the sort of a contract labor who is going to go and spray. You tell him, you have to spray this, say lambda cyhalothrin 5% EC, he refuses. Or he has to do something which I don't want to say that's good, but then only he can able to spray, because it will be itching to him for at least 2 to 3 days. Almost he cannot sleep at night. Those type of issues are there. And that problem also we have overcome now. So I encourage industry to do such innovations which will be helpful not only to India but to the world. With these few words, I would like to thank all of you for listening, and thanks once again, Mr. Joshi, for this opportunity.